Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, this deadly storm system now slamming the Northeast at this hour. The line of storms more than 800 miles have brought whiteout conditions, now blinding rain, several tornadoes touching down. Tonight, the state of emergency in New Jersey, in New York City in the Northeast, the flood warnings and the alerts, potentially damaging winds. Rob Marciano on these deadly tornadoes and Ginger Zee timing out tonight, tomorrow, and now yet another new storm right behind this one. Tonight, the Pentagon now saying that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is being treated for prostate cancer and that the president and the White House only learned about it today. Selena Wang at the White House. More than 170 passenger planes now grounded tonight after that door plug came off the plane at 16,000 feet. What both Alaska Airlines and United Airlines have now found while conducting their own inspections, and Gio Benitez reporting. Former President Trump in federal court today, his attorneys making the case that presidential immunity protects Trump from anything related to the election and January 6th. A judge then asking Trump's lawyers, if a president orders the assassination of a political rival, would presidential immunity protect him? Their answer, Pierre Thomas tonight. 6 days to Iowa with Donald Trump in federal court, Nikki Haley in Iowa, boosted by new polling in New Hampshire showing her closing in on Trump. Ron DeSantis returning to Iowa tonight. Rachel Scott is there. The chilling images tonight, masked gunmen storming a TV studio during a live broadcast. The studio crew taken hostage. Sinéad O'Connor's cause of death just revealed tonight. And this evening, some now asking, how did an iPhone sucked from that plane at 16,000 feet survive the fall without cracking? When an iPhone can fall from your pocket and shatter.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Tuesday night. We do begin tonight with the states of emergency as this deadly storm system now hits the Northeast as we come on. All part of a fast-moving cross-country storm that brought tornadoes to the south before racing up the East Coast late today. Tornado watch is still in effect in parts of the south at this hour. At least 4 deaths linked to this storm already. The sprawling system, you see it there, more than 800 miles long, more than a dozen reported tornadoes. Heavy rain and winds now hammering the I-95 corridor from Washington, D.C. to New York City right now, set to worsen overnight. Wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour, threatening power for millions. A dangerous tornado striking Panama City Beach, Florida. Homes knocked off their foundations. In Marciano, Florida, homes damaged, roofs ripped off. Tonight, the real concern now heading into the overnight hours from Philadelphia into New Jersey, from New York up to Boston. Ginger Zee times this out, and Rob Marciano first tonight with the images already coming in.
Tonight, states of emergency in the Northeast as dangerous weather threatens millions from D.C. to New York to Boston.
Power's out.
The system spawning multiple dangerous nighttime tornadoes.
There goes a tornado! Right there, right in front of us!
In Panama City, Florida, this storm chaser caught outside his vehicle just as a waterspout came ashore as a powerful tornado.
She's heading towards Panama City now.
Daylight revealing roofs ripped from homes and apartment buildings. In Panama City Beach, the boat storage barn mangled. Our Faith Abube on the ground.
The power of those winds knocking this oceanfront house off of its foundation. You can see it tilted to the side, leaning onto the neighboring house. Officials say there were serious injuries in this area, but miraculously, no one was killed.
North of there in Mariana, multiple homes destroyed, entire rooms exposed to the sky.
I just put all the kids in the bathtub.
Beverly Gray and her newborn are okay after she, her 3 kids, and her sister's family took cover in her bathroom.
I ran over there and got my sister out of the camper and her 3 kids, and I was like, hey, look, y'all need to come on. It's about to get bad.
In Claremont, North Carolina, 1 person was killed at this mobile home park, one of at least 4 fatalities in the storm zone. The massive system bringing blizzards to the nation's midsection, relentless wind creating whiteout conditions and huge drifts. And in Iowa, the heavy snow forcing Republican candidates canvassing the state to cancel events just 6 days before the Iowa caucuses. And now the I-95 corridor racing to prepare.
This will be an emergency. It will be serious, and we're urging all New Yorkers to exercise extreme caution at this time.
David, it is really starting to come down here in Connecticut. The winds are gusting as well, but the heaviest rain and the highest winds are still yet to come. We could see winds to 60 miles an hour. So anybody that lives in the Northeast needs to be ready for the potential of their power going out tonight. David?
No question about that. Rob Marciano leading us off. Rob, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee. She's going to time this out for us right into the overnight hours. Hey, Ginger.
David, hey, these winds are ripping off the Hudson River already, and they are going to peak later tonight between about 9 and 1 a.m. But let's go ahead and dive in, because that's the first concern I have, the power outages, the trees into homes and cars. But then this, where you see the second highest level of flood risk for such a big area, down Appalachia, through northeastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and yes, parts of New York. So that's for the 2 to 5 inches of rain that's going to fall really quickly tonight. But those numbers you see on the map, those are wind gusts. Those are miles per hour, 56 miles per hour. That's at 11 p.m. tonight. 67 in Atlantic City. We're going to clear this thing out pretty quickly through the morning hours, but the Cape up through Boston still has really gusty and raw start to the day tomorrow. I-95, if you're trying to travel tonight, really tough. Still some tornado watches down in Central Florida up to North Carolina, and that snowy side, David, there's another system that looks unfortunately a lot like this that comes through in just a couple more days.
Yeah, we can see it brewing there in the west already. We'll be tracking it with you, Ginger, and watching first thing in the morning on GMA. Thank you. We turn now to the other news this Tuesday night, and this evening the Pentagon now revealing that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is being treated for prostate cancer, and that the White House is now saying President Biden was told just today. Tonight, the White House now ordering a review of protocols for members of the cabinet when they have to delegate authority, still asking, why was the White House not told? Here's Selena Wang.
After days of outrage over a secret hospitalization, tonight the Pentagon revealing the reason. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was diagnosed with prostate cancer in early December, but the White House only learning about it today.
Nobody at the White House knew that Secretary Austin had prostate cancer until this morning.
Austin's doctors at Walter Reed Medical Center saying he's been hospitalized since New Year's Day due to complications from what they say was a minimally invasive surgical procedure called a prostatectomy to treat and cure prostate cancer that took place on December 22nd. The secretary had been discharged after the surgery, but days later was taken by ambulance to the hospital and admitted to the ICU for a urinary tract infection that doctors say has now cleared. But for days, not even Austin's deputy, Kathleen Hicks, was told about the severity of his condition, even though routine authorization, which normally happens when the secretary is out of pocket, had been transferred to her days earlier. The 70-year-old Austin resuming his duties from his hospital bed on Friday and taking responsibility for the failure to disclose a procedure.
We recognize that we have to do a better job in terms of the timeliness and the transparency.
The White House today ordering a top-to-bottom review of notification protocols and delegation of duties for cabinet members. David, Secretary Austin is expected to make a full recovery, but the White House is still struggling to explain why it took so long to learn about his condition and why, when Austin spoke to the president a few days ago, he did not disclose to the president his cancer diagnosis. The White House is insisting that President Biden still has complete confidence in Secretary Austin. David?
All right, Selena Wang from inside the briefing room tonight. This weather hitting Washington as well. Selena, thank you. Tonight, more than 170 passenger planes have now been grounded. And what both Alaska Airlines and United Airlines have now found after their own inspections, after that door plug blew off an Alaska Airlines flight at 16,000 feet. And the images tonight from inside that plane, flight attendants who were especially concerned about unaccompanied minors and children in their parents' laps as all of this was unfolding. ABC's Gio Benitez covers aviation.
Tonight, Boeing CEO telling employees he's, quote, acknowledging our mistake following the grounding of 171 MAX 9 planes when a door plug used to cover and seal optional emergency exits detached 16,000 feet in the air. Now new questions raised over safety concerns as the NTSB reviews whether 4 bolts that hold the door plug firmly in place were ever properly installed on that Alaska Airlines jet, zeroing in on the so-called stop bolts located here.
There are hinges on the bottom, and in each of those there are bolts that hold it in place. That prevents the door plug from moving upward and then outward of the plane.
Boeing's admission coming on the heels of Alaska Airlines saying overnight it found some loose hardware during its inspection hours after United Airlines said it too had discovered loose bolts on some of its door plugs. The blowout on the Alaska Airlines flight Friday putting a new focus on Spirit Aerosystems. That's the company who manufactures Boeing's MAX 9 fuselage. ABC News learning issues with production led to delays of Boeing MAX planes last year. The NTSB tonight also focusing on communication inside the plane. The first officer's headset sucked out of the aircraft, the crew struggling to relay critical information to each other.
It was just a lot of chaos and no answers, and you're worried for your life.
Investigators saying the crew turned their attention to the 5 unaccompanied minors and the 3 infants in their parents' laps. And remember, David, Alaska Airlines had already restricted this plane from flying over water. The question, of course, though, is should this have been flying at all? David?
That is a key question, and we applaud those flight attendants. We saw them when they're getting their masks on, helping those children in your report there, Gio. Thank you. We turn now to former President Trump in federal court today. His attorneys making the case that presidential immunity protects Trump from anything related to the election in January 6th. A judge then asking Trump's lawyers if a president orders the assassination of a political rival, would presidential immunity protect the president? Their answer made news. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Today, Donald Trump looking on in court as his attorney tried to convince a skeptical panel of judges that the former president should have complete immunity from prosecution for trying to overturn the election he had lost. This was the central argument from Trump's lawyers.
To authorize the prosecution of a president for his official acts would open a Pandora's box from which this nation may never recover.
Judge Florence Pan immediately challenging that argument.
Could a president sell pardons or sell military secrets? Those are official acts, right? It's an official act to grant a pardon. It's an official act to communicate with a foreign government.
Trump's attorney claiming a president must be impeached and convicted by Congress before he can be charged with a crime.
Could a president order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival? That's an official act in order to SEAL Team 6?
He would have to be and would speedily be, impeached and convicted before the criminal prosecution.
Judge Pan pressing again.
Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
so your answer is no.
The special counsel prosecutor pounced.
What kind of world are we living in if, as I understood my friend on the other side to say here, a president orders his SEAL team to assassinate a political rival and resigns, for example, before an impeachment? Not a criminal act. President sells a pardon, resigns, or is not impeached? Not a crime. I think that is extraordinarily frightening future.
Trump sat there emotionless, often taking notes and passing them to his attorneys. He did not appear to make eye contact with special counsel Jack Smith, who was also in court. But he nodded emphatically at times, and when it was all over, he addressed reporters.
A president has to have immunity. And the other thing is I did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong.
Trump ominously hinted there would be bedlam if his case goes forward and he loses. We're expecting the judges to rule before too long, but David, this case could go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Pierre Thomas, thank you, Pierre. And with Donald Trump in federal court today and just 6 days to the Iowa caucuses, Nikki Haley in Iowa today, boosted by a new poll in New Hampshire showing her closing in on Trump within single digits now. And Ron DeSantis, after those awful storms in Florida today, now returning to Iowa tonight. Rachel Scott is there.
With Ron DeSantis dealing with tornadoes in Florida and Donald Trump in court in Washington, Nikki Haley had the campaign trail in snowy Iowa largely to herself.
I didn't know if we were going to come see 5 people, but to see a full house really is great.
Haley making her closing arguments to voters with the caucuses just 6 days away.
The only way we're going to win the majority of Americans is if we go forward with a new generational leader that leaves the negativity and the baggage in the past and goes forward with the solutions for the future.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis back at home dealing with a rash of tornadoes.
Earlier today, I signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency. We know that there have been at least 4 tornadoes that have touched down in the Panhandle.
But this evening, DeSantis traveling back to Iowa. He staked his campaign on a strong showing here. A new poll in New Hampshire shows him plummeting to just 5%. And Haley surging, now just 7 points behind Trump in that state. And tonight, former President Trump now facing new questions after openly hoping the economy crashes this year on Biden's watch.
It's running off the fumes of what we did, what the Trump administration. It's just running off the fumes. And when there's a crash, I hope it's going to be during this next 12 months, because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
The U.S. economy added 216,000 jobs just last month. That's far better than what economists had predicted and helped reduce fears about a possible recession. Tonight, the Biden campaign responding to Trump's comments on the economy, saying Donald Trump should just admit he does not give a damn about people. David.
Rachel Scott in snowy Iowa as well tonight. Rachel, thank you. We're going to turn now to the chilling images coming in from Ecuador late today. Armed men storming a live TV broadcast in Ecuador. The studio crew taken hostage. It all happened after the government there had imposed a state of emergency. Here's ABC's Matt Rivers now.
Tonight, this is the chilling moment. Armed men stormed the set of a public TV channel in Ecuador, firing off guns and waving apparent explosives during a live broadcast. The studio crew taken hostage for at least 15 minutes on air as the country watched. Police later surrounding the station, arresting several suspects. And across Ecuador, fiery blasts rocking multiple cities, this one engulfing a police car. The wave of violence beginning just hours after Ecuador's president declared a state of emergency, following a prison escape by notorious Los Choneros gang leader Adolfo Macias. The government battling with what they say are at least 22 different criminal groups angered by that state of emergency. Tonight, authorities say at least 7 police officers have been kidnapped. Ecuador, once known as one of South America's most peaceful countries, seeing an explosion in recent years of organized crime-related violence linked to Mexican drug cartels.
And David, that state of emergency will remain in place for at least 60 days, which gives the country's military the right to enter some of the prisons there, criminals inside of which responsible for so much of the violence we've seen recently. David?
Matt Rivers reporting for us tonight. Thank you, Matt. But when we come back here, alarming new numbers tonight, what hospitals in the U.S. are now seeing with respiratory illness, flu, and COVID, and which states. Also tonight, singer Sinéad O'Connor's cause of death just revealed. We turn now to Fort Worth, Texas tonight, where authorities are investigating what they believe was a gas explosion at that hotel just as we came on last night here. 21 people injured. FEMA teams today searching for more possible victims, though they now think everyone is accounted for. The blast possibly happening in the hotel's restaurant, debris scattered across downtown Fort Worth. Tonight, the CDC is now warning that respiratory illnesses are spreading across the U.S. At least 38 states now showing high or very high levels of illness, including COVID, flu, and RSV. Hospitalizations for flu jumping 35% in just a week. COVID hospitalizations rising 8 weeks in a row now. When we come back here, Sinéad O'Connor's cause of death just in, and that iPhone sucked from that plane at 16,000 feet, and why so many are asking a question about it. The condition the phone was found in. To the index of other news, and tonight the coroner's office in London now revealing Sinéad O'Connor died of natural causes. The singer found in her home last July, dying at the age of 56. Authorities say there was nothing suspicious about her death. And for anyone who ever dropped their iPhone and had it crack, a head scratcher tonight. Sean Bates from Oregon, out walking, he found one of the iPhones sucked from that plane at 16,000 feet. He called the NTSB. The screen was not cracked. In fact, it had a message about the passenger's baggage. Incredible. When we come back tonight, the waitress and the surprise, and she wonders if that family is watching tonight. Finally tonight here, the waitress and the surprise, the message when she picked up one family's bill on the table. Tonight here in New York City on Broadway, the waitress who always waits on others going to Broadway shows. Claire Howell is an aspiring actress and a waitress in New York's theater district. She was serving a family on their way to see Claire's dream show, the sold-out musical Merrily We Roll Along, starring Daniel Radcliffe. She told the family she hopes to one day see it. After they left, Claire picked up their bill and was suddenly overcome with emotion. A $500 tip and their message written on the bill. Go see Merrily, sit in the orchestra. And this is Claire doing just that, sitting front and center right where they told her to, holding the playbill, and right here tonight.
Hi, David.
Claire, home from the show.
It was just an incredible show, but the most genuine, selfless act of kindness. They didn't even wait for me to say thank you or to see my reaction. They just left.
Tonight, that waitress, that aspiring actress, grateful for the kindness.
Hopefully I can see them again and say thank you, but it just shows how good people are, and I will think about it for a very long time.
She said she never got a chance to get the family's name, but if they're watching, she wants you to know how much it meant to her. I'm David Muir. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.